Hey guys, welcome back to some more AFK Arena. In today's video, we're going to be doing a guide for the Abyssal Expedition. Now, this is just a preliminary guide. We haven't actually completed it on the test server yet before it comes to global. So if there's any extra little bits of information that I can add into it, I will pin it in a comment, and if we get enough, I'll make another video about it. I just wanted to have a guide out about the basics to get everyone started with it when it comes to global, and then we can expand on this as we go. But hopefully we can get you all the information we do know and point you in the right direction for this awesome new event. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing to note is when the event actually starts, the first 24 hours is just a sign-up event. So when you click the Abyssal Expedition in the bottom left there, it'll just open up a sign-up page. The Abyssal Expedition is going to involve 70 players, so you and 69 others. It will be your guild, and if your guild is not big enough, there will be some random people in there, maybe join up with another guild. It will team you up with 69 other players. There will be 70 of you total. So once after the first 24 hours is up with the registration phase, you're going to click on it, and it's going to take you into a map. Now with this map, because this one's a bit more advanced, there's a few more things in it, but there's going to be the blue, what are they, what's the six-sided one? We'll call them squares for now. Squares is just easier than actually saying it. So the hexagon, is it? I think so. I think that's a sixer. But you're going to have blue squares, and you're going to have these whiter type squares. The white squares are your ones, and the blue ones are your allies. Now, let's call them tiles actually. Each tile is going to be an enemy. Even the ones that don't really have a village or anything, they're going to be enemies. It's just they scale up in difficulty. If we examine here, this is a tier 1 enemy. If we go over to something like this and examine that, that's going to be a tier 3 enemy. Now, the tiers of enemies will apply later on when we look at upgrading titles. But the basic gist of it is you cannot move to a tile unless you have a tile next to it. So for instance, these are my tiles. So I can go ahead and attack this one. Because I'm next to it, but if I wanted to attack this one, it'll say I've got to own one of the tiles around it to be able to attack it. Now the thing about this is you can actually group up with your teammates, and as long as you have a tile linked to one of their tiles, then you can go ahead and basically assume one of their tiles is kind of like yours. So for instance, this one here, I cannot attack that because it says I have to own a tile. However, if I go ahead and attack this one because it's linked to mine, if we just do something like this, just to get this out of the way, yes, we should be fine. I think I hope. Okay, these are a bit tougher. Okay, there we go, got it. So if I go ahead and attack that tile there, we'll go successfully occupied. Okay, now I am technically linked to this one here, even though it's my teammates. So that's the way it works. You all get sort of grouped up into one little thing once you've basically defeated a tile next to your teammates, so you can join up with your teammates. That is how that works. Now when we look at the general map as a sense, you're going to start off with three with different areas that you can't get into. So as you see, this is the overall map that you can go ahead and look at, but it's got different walls. So as you can see, this first wall that goes around here, where you can kind of see the mouse going, there's going to be boss stages all around it, which are represented by these little squares on the map. Unfortunately, I can't zoom in, like it's either you're there or you're not, but those are all going to be little bosses that you can beat. And then once you beat those bosses, you're going to get into the next area that you can't get into. And there's going to be bosses around there that you have to beat to get into the next area. And then once again, there's going to be bosses here. So that is the basic flow of how it works. Now, a big thing in this is going to be the Blessed Relics. So when we look at the Blessed Relics, you can see here you've got one for each of the, basically each of the trees. So you have your support, your mage, your assassin, your tanks, and your warriors. I'm pretty sure that's how they call them. No, these are rangers. But basically, as you have encampments, you're gonna see over time they're gonna become this. You click them and you get more of these essences. Now the essences are determined by the level of the encampment you have, And if we go here, cultivate, so when they're villages and things like that, you can actually place heroes there and yield 20% extra essence. But yeah, it's basically going to be dependent on the tier level of the encampment that you have. But as you get those essences, also when you collect it, you might get some relics. So just keep that in mind. You might just get the relics and you can equip them. And as you can see here, well, actually, we'll just keep going with facts, and then I'll tell you what I would do at the end. But as you can see, this one's level 3, this one's level 3, this one is going to be level 2, 2, 2. And basically, to increase the level of this, you have to equip all of these different ones, which you can get by getting them as drops, or you can do it by combining them. As you can see, once we get to level 2, we need rare ones, which means you have to combine some green ones to go ahead and get it. You can use the essence to combine them, and this will just basically make everything that you need and just do it for you, which is really easy. Or you can wait until you get them as drops. So that's pretty much how it works. Fill in all the gear slots by using your essences, and then you'll be able to level up once you have them all equipped. However, there is one more requirement to that, and as you can see, these are very big power increase. If you look at my mage one, which is at level 3, you can see how much strength it gives my mages, so it's really nice. But there's one more thing that you have to keep in mind before you can level it up, and that is going to be your title. Now, title is going to be a big thing in this one. And you're going to work your way up through titles, and the titles give you really nice rewards, and they're actually not that hard to complete. It just takes a bit of time waiting for essences, upgrading things, and all of them are going to be pretty much the same. They're just going to require you to collect so much essence, defeat so many encampments of a certain level, occupy encampments and stuff like that, and garrison heroes at those encampments, which was those ones that give you like 20% extra yield. So as you can see here, this is where I'm at the moment. You can see I'm at, I can't say this word. We're just going to leave it. But then you can see my next one is Earl, and then you get more things. But you get good rewards as you get these. So this is what you really, really want to focus on, is upgrading these. And as you can see, this one, occupy 10 4-tier settlements. That's just basically when you go into those settlements and they give you a tier level. For instance, this one here, if we examine that, that's a tier 5. So for this one, all I need to do is have 1 tier 5 settlement and then 10 tier 4 settlements. So as you can see, you just got to keep working through. But the other thing about these is the titles are determine how far you can actually progress these. So basically to level these up, you've just got to go to the next title and then have it fully equipped, and then you can increase it. So that's pretty much the basics there. Just gonna edit this in because I realized I forgot to do it when I was going through. With the trees here, what I think I'm gonna do is actually focus on just the 2 trees being support and mage, because they're the ones I have the majority of heroes for. As you can see here, I'm not gonna be combining all of these ones for just a Leica, for instance. So depending on how your account is stacked, which a lot of people I think is going to be mage and support. I feel like everyone's going to have a lot of support. And once you upgrade these guys that much, you can probably use them in the tanking position. Once we get to the end bosses, I don't know, you might have to have a tank maxed out with this, but we'll have to see. But in the early stages, I'm just focusing on the 2 trees being the support, and then for your damage tree, it's probably for most people going to be the mage or ranger, or maybe even warrior. But I just focus on the 2 that you have the most heroes that you're using for, and then just progress like that. Like I said, towards the end, you might have to just max them all out, but for early on, that's what I like to focus all of my essences on, is just the 2 trees that I'm really focusing on. As for heroes, okay, it took us a while to get to heroes, but I didn't know what order to do this in. Heroes, as you can see, your heroes have a stamina bar, and pretty much you start off with 10, I believe it is, and then as you go up in titles, you unlock more slots for heroes as well. So that's pretty much what that is. They have a stamina. As for the stamina, when we go into battles, if we want to go ahead and attack here, basically with battles, so they tell you how much stamina you use. When you finish the battle, you have the possibility to gain 3 stars. It's going to be between winning the battle, losing no heroes, and doing it in 30 seconds. And for each star you get refunded 2 stamina. I'm not sure if harder battles refund you more. That's just what it is at the base. So the more stars you get, the more stamina you get returned, which means you can do more battles quicker. So that is definitely something to consider. Also, you do not have to take a full team. If you have a hero that can solo one of these, you can take the one hero in. You can actually restart the battle as you go, but if you do restart it, you still lose, I think, 1 or 2 stamina. So just keep that in mind. If you're restarting and restarting, you will be losing stamina. However, if you just lose the battle completely, you lose that 12 stamina that you started with. I believe on the normal stages, if you have a hero that has died against it, you're not able to use them. What we're going to do is we're going to go over here and test that actually. So if I go here and attack this one, sorry, I'll attack this one, and we go attack, and I drop everyone out, and I'll just bring, say, we'll bring the Citrana. We'll confirm that. We'll go ahead and let her die. If she's going to die. Yes, okay. So if I go continue attacking and I want to attack that one again, cannot place hero. But if I wanted to attack a different square, you can see I can still use her. So I feel like if you lose a hero in a battle, you can't use them against that specific square again. I think this was the one I was originally attacking. Yeah, as you see, because their health pool stays the same. If we go back here to attack, as you can see, so they still lose that bit of health, but your heroes that you've lost also stay lost as well. So just something to consider. If you lose a hero, you can't use them in that battle, but you don't actually lose the use of the hero, so don't be afraid to lose. You just lose that bit of stamina. Now, for which heroes you actually get here, now, it's not, from what I've seen, it's not related to the crystal or anything like that. It's just basically any hero you have at Elite Plus, you're going to be able to use, but there is no legendary tier heroes usable in here. So when you go to add a hero, basically you're going to see every hero that you have at Elite Plus, every ascended tier hero that is at Elite Plus, and you can't use duplicates, and that's pretty much the way it's going to be in there, and that's pretty much all there is to it. So that's the heroes, that's the battles. And then as we talk about the encampments and, you know, joining them up, the reason you see a bunch of them scattered here is because you can actually, once you don't really need one anymore, you can go here and you can hit, that's a teammate, that's my one. Actually, I don't want to lose that one yet. So for instance, this one, if we don't want that anymore, we can hit abandon, we abandon, and up the top here, it takes 2 minutes to abandon it. But then up the top where you can see I've got 23 of 30 encampments, that will free up another encampment slot for me to go ahead and place them at. So it's sort of, you want to keep progressing and then removing the ones as you go. But I think that is pretty much it for the basics of it. Now we're going to go into the general strategy that I'd be recommending. Okay, so for strategy, it's really hard to know the best strategy at the moment. Once global launches and you get about 3 or 4 days in, I feel like people are going to figure out a better strategy. Because I've only got the one account to play on and test it, it's a bit harder. When I originally looked at it, I thought the strategy was going to be to link up with all of your teammates and then all go ahead and attack the one boss. But then when I realized that one of my teammates alone beat this boss, I was like, okay, probably don't need to do that. So I know a lot of guild leaders are going to be getting stressed about this event, but I honestly think if people just play and work towards the nearest boss, it'll be fine. The reason why I don't think all grouping up to go for the first boss at the start, the reason I don't think that's really needed is because when we look at the titles and you have to occupy all these higher tier settlements, if you're all pushed into one spot, there's not going to be enough settlements for 70 people to go ahead and claim enough of the settlements to keep increasing titles. So what I actually think is going to be the way to go, and the map lays it out pretty well, in that you're going to be able to, on the first wave, group up with 1 or 2 people, work towards all these different bosses. I mean, I don't even know how many. You'll probably group up with 5 people or so and work towards the bosses. Then you can group up with a couple other groups, because it does a good job of just reducing the amount of bosses that there are there. And you can work in and go to the next one. If you want, then you can sort of start funneling into one. As you can see, everyone from here is funneling into this one. We're all sort of moving towards this one. It sort of makes a beeline path, but also by doing that and actually spreading it out a little bit, you can have access to more of these settlements so that everyone can go in. So for instance, if we all grouped up at the start and went for this boss here, now you've got 70 people going in this area here trying to claim 10 tier 4 settlements, and there's just not enough there. So I think spreading out is going to be the way to go, which is really good, which means it requires a lot less organization. From a guild standpoint, you can just pretty much go ahead and not stress about it at all. So that's going to be that one, and then you just basically keep working in, and it bottlenecks it really nicely. As you can see here, you come in and you've got the 2 bosses up at this one, and you know, it's eventually going to just spread out and allow everyone to do it. So basic strategy is don't stress too hard. The bosses aren't the hardest, at least the first wave of bosses. We'll find out what the second wave of bosses is like, but I find that the way the map is set out is actually the way you kind of want to do it, because you really do want to have access to everyone to increase these titles, because once again, you can't actually access the next area until you have a title requirement. So you got to meet the title requirement before you can actually walk past this boss into this area. You don't just beat the boss and go in, you've got to actually get the title requirement and then move in. So you've got to get all those encampments, but that's the basic strategy. Spread out, beat bosses, go in, bottleneck, and then get in and beat the boss. We're not there yet. Once again, if you have any other tips, put them down in the comments. If I see enough good things, I'll pin them in a comment. And I'll probably make an updated video for this in like 5 to 10 days time when we progress a bit further on this account. But hopefully that gets you guys started for global. Sorry if it was a bit of a long video. I just wanted to sort of cover all the basics in it. But that is going to be it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you have an awesome day, and I'll look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.